2x2, 7 rows deep.
And rolling up to the start-finish line. It looks like Asher going a little bit off track as the inside.
As they can. Saber making an amazing dive into turn 1.
And electroshocks off. Eggful gets the move.
But MNU trying to take a move.
Big contact from 5 different punches.
Big incident with Snowdog, our leader.
As we head into turn row, it's a big crash. It's a big crash between the two title contenders.
Happy Sunday, everyone, and welcome back to the triumphant return of multi-class action as we bring you the opening round of the Simufur Cup Classic. I'm Kady Timberfox. I'm joined in the booth by Newbie Nick and Paliku'i providing the trackside shots today. Got plenty of racing action coming up over the next hour and change for you. We have the return of the double sprint format from our Porsche Cup Series. And of course, there will be 2 races happening at the same time. One class will be trading paint in the faster front-wheel drive touring cars. You can see a couple of them going around right now. And the other will be in nothing less than the greatest piece of racing machinery ever designed, the Mazda MX-5 Cup. They'll be doing battle today around Navarra circuit in the north of Spain, specifically the medium configuration. Almost all the races on our calendar this series are going to be at these shorter track layouts to match the speed of our classes and, of course, to keep the racing close. Nick, we've got just a few more minutes of practice coming up before we get going on qualifying. Our drivers have just 8 corners to get perfectly right around here. What kind of race are we expecting?
Well, if whatever was on track just now was anything to go by, it's going to be chaotic. You see how big the size difference is, the TCR compared to the MX-5, and also the closing speeds. It's going to be very interesting to see how these drivers get used to driving around here with the fact that they're fighting against their class rivals, along with different class drivers just zipping past them. And it's just going to be, I'd say, insane. This is a very fast track, as you can see on the layout. Navarra circuit, we are on a slightly different layout from our F4 run here this time around. We're cutting a bit short. T5 is still a very long sweeper, as you can see here with the MX-5. Parker Olsen just went by. Turn 4, 5 to 6, a very long straight that can kind of draft drivers around before heading back to turn 3. It's going to make for some very interesting racing here.
Very, very interesting racing, and also a pretty uncommon multi-class combination that we have here. There is not a single official series on iRacing that has this particular combination of cars on track at the same time. There's, of course, the production car challenge that runs the MX-5 Cups alongside a lot of the other entry-level, I should say, production cars. The closest thing that we have to the touring cars in that one is the Renault Clios, given that they are front-wheel drive. But these are, of course, a lot faster versions of that. You can see all sorts of different aerodynamic bits and bobs on them. They are very, very high-powered racing machines, make no mistake about it. And I honestly I was wondering a little bit before this session whether we were going to get some lapping traffic in 25 minutes of racing, and just looking at this practice right now and like you said, the speed difference, I think we definitely are going to get at least some traffic for the leaders of the TCR class by the time we finish up today. Let's go on board here for a second on the roll bar of the brand new to iRacing Audi RS3 Gen 2. This is the most recent addition to the TCR class when iRacing got the license back to be able to get these cars back on circuit again. You have also right in front a Honda Civic, couple cars in front, I should say. Those tend to be the 2 most popular, I would say, additions to this class. They're pretty close to each other in terms of the pace. The Hyundai Elantra, which you've seen probably a couple of times now going around, is just maybe a tenth or two back, but overall it's a pretty well-balanced class. And of course, there's another Hyundai as well, the hatchback-style Veloster. I'm not sure if anybody's driving it today. I haven't seen one on track yet.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting. TCR class in and of itself is like a very underrated class, I would say. So most drivers that we're used to. Oh, there is a Veloster here. Definitely interesting to see Wolfin driving the Veloster. Definitely interesting to see how they fare up within the class. But as I was saying just back then, it's a pretty well slept on class. People will usually dismiss, oh, it's just a front-wheel drive car. It's not meant for racing, but there's actually a lot of technique that can be used that really gives you a lot of like patience that you have to do as they hop over the curb, because the car really upsets you when you don't when you're not patient with the car. And I think that it's really a car that some drivers need to drive to kind of get themselves reeled back in driving other class cars. And I think it's very interesting to see us driving TCRs here for this series.
Yeah, I love it personally. It was definitely one of my favorites when I actually first joined iRacing. It was the series that I took the step up from rookies to. It was the first thing that I started learning after the MX-5 Cup, actually. And yeah, just the rear-wheel drive, it's such a different philosophy. It goes against everything that you feel like you want to do when you're driving a car. A lot of times, when you start sliding around in this thing, the thing that you want to do is just slam the gas and get all of that grip back on the front wheels, because as soon as you do, it'll start understeering, and you can sort of correct slides that way. And just the way that you have to really be careful about modulating the throttle, because you want to be giving a little bit of drive to the front wheels as you are going through mid-corner in order to make sure that you're keeping up the rotation and you're not just washing out wide. But at the same time, if you give it too much, that's when you start understeering. You're hitting the limit of the grip. The front wheels are doing most, if not all, of the work in this car, both with the braking and the gas. A lot of drivers love to crank the brake bias rearward, but of course that does also make the car really unstable on the brakes. So it's mostly just a matter of just trying to find that balance and being as brave as you dare on the brakes. That's going to be the key, I think, especially as we're coming up to our qualifying. And because this is a track with only 8 corners, as we said, you have to get each one exactly right.
I'm just looking back at the background while you were explaining how TCRs work. Just a bunch of a few team cars here experimenting with the TCRs, bump drafting MX-5s. I'm not sure if that's viable here, but it's definitely very interesting and also a little bit dangerous. As you can see, the track just undulating up and down as you cut across different layouts. Not sure if that's gonna be what we're gonna be seeing in the race, but I guess it's something we gotta look out for.
I mean, there is definitely a lot of height difference in this track, a little bit more than I was actually expecting there to be. I think of this track as pretty flat most of the time, but actually there's a really decent amount of elevation change, especially, as you said, since we're basically just cutting straight down from the side of the hill. We're not going up to that longer sort of sector 2 that is usually taken in series like that have hosted this track before, such as the GT1s of old and things like that. Yeah, let's get inside one of these MX-5s. If you spent literally any amount of time on iRacing, you've almost certainly seen the cockpit of one of these. Almost everybody with an account has driven it at some point. A lot of us, including me, of course, we learned the basics of racecraft here in these cars. And as far as trophy cars go, it's a surprisingly high skill ceiling. You kind of, the more time that you spend in it, you learn these little tricks to kind of go faster. You spend a lot of time early on being really scared of the downshifts, because it tends to kick a lot of torque into the rear axle when you downshift, and it can really upset the car. But once you get used to that, you can actually start to use that to get a little bit more rotation, especially like the third to second transition. It really helps as we get on board with Vossi here. And of course, the platform really lets you run over the curbs here at Navarra, so we're going to be seeing a lot of bouncing as far as that goes. So both of these races, I'm expecting them to be pretty close, but personally, I'm expecting the Cup class here to be the closest.
Yeah, it's going to be close racing, but I was just saying different techniques as well. But sometimes as you were saying, the nervousness of downshifting from third to second, some people learn to basically modulate the throttle to basically swap between second and third. Sometimes you want the kick, sometimes you don't want the kick. Sometimes people will just learn to just blip the throttle as well, and at the end of practice, just to not make sure the car doesn't rotate when they don't want it to. And it's definitely interesting to see all the little nooks and little features that you can try to gain while you're doing learning the limits of this car.
Yeah, I was just thinking about how tiny it looks on this track as well. So 4 wide, 5 wide, I think it's doable.
Oh my
honestly,
God,
we'll see what happens as we're getting into turns 1, 2, and 3. But we are heading over to qualifying right now. Our format today is a little bit devious, if I'm being honest. We have one shot qualifying today, so our drivers have exactly 1 lap to get on the board here. It is a solo qualifying, so they don't have to worry about traffic or anything like that, thankfully. But one little off track or just, running it a little bit too wide on the exit of the final corner, and suddenly you might be on for a good time, and suddenly you might be at the back of the grid. I'm not sure. I think even if the TCRs don't put up a qualifying time, they shouldn't at the very least start at the back of the cup class. That would be very chaotic and just inject even more into this race. But I think the way that iRacing tends to handle drivers who don't set qualifying times in multi-class races, they tend to get put at the back of their class. So thankfully, we shouldn't have to deal with that too much. We are riding on board right now with Philip Beckevold, who is going down this very long back straight and making their way through the last couple of corners. Now, this is pretty much going to be, my guess, the only qualifying run that we see. We might see a cup car going around towards the end, but again, because everybody is running at the exact same time and we can only see the car that the camera's focused on, this is pretty much what we're going to see, and here we go.
Yeah, I think we're going to start on board, but they're coming back into the start-finish straight. That is the start of Philip's start of their qualifying lap into turn 1. Small braking, I assume, but no, it's just going straight into turn 1. It's going to be braking to turn 2 and turn 3. Make sure you don't go too wide here, or else you basically invalidate your lap, and that's basically your qualifying done. But make it right, and you go into turn 3. Turn 4 is a small kink before it's going to be flat out all the way. Turn 5 and turn 6, gotta be careful here not to extend as much as, even though we want to extend as much as possible, just not go too wide out there, or else you might get off track, or you might just slow yourself down by clipping the grass a little bit. Into turn 6, hard braking here. Make sure you don't lock up or upset the car too much. Coming down into, when you're done here in the small little half hairpin, I'll assume. I will guess it's a half hairpin given the shape. Into turn 7, a small little kink before hard braking into turn 8, and that's going to be a lap at Navarra in this layout, and it's not really a hard layout except for turn 1, I would say, but with how many cars you have here, it's gonna be crazy here.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a lap, and it feels like you barely started on that explanation there. I didn't actually realize until we looked at the onboard that corner was uphill there. But look at that time from Philip Beckevold. That's a 1:02.48. That is right now faster than anybody else. The only one who's gotten remotely close is Sarah Van Fiepeland, of course, one of the stars of our Porsche Cup Series. She has a 1:02.79 that she's laid down. And again, it's only 1 lap, and these cars are not on the fastest sort of ideal temperature range on that first lap. They usually need a couple to get them in. So all of these laps are going to be a little bit imperfect. But yeah, so our TCR podium right now, we've got Philip Beckevold in front, Sarah Van Fiepeland lining up on the front low, and then Rafael Rodriguez starting the second row alongside Louise Gordon. Great qualifying for her as well. And our first MX-5 right now is down in P18, which... I think that means that quite a few TCRs then weren't able to set a lap, because we should have 24 TCRs today. There's another one. That's Danak in the Honda Civic just put in a time that is not very good. That's a 1:08.4. I'm sure something must have happened to them on that lap. So it's going to be an uphill for Danak there. We're learning Jordan Johnson there, Plasma, we were watching right now, has done a purple first sector. So we can see if that time ends up getting upset. Obviously, not everybody doing their laps exactly at the same time, not going straight out. You do only have 5 minutes here, and iRacing won't let you finish your lap if you are on it when the time expires. So anybody who needs to be on it, you'll have to finish it up right now. Jordan has finished it up right now, and that is going to be good enough for the top of the timing board by just 0.07 of a second. So it's still really, really close. But right now we have an all Audi first row and an Audi starting on the third row, followed by an Elantra in P4 now. So pretty much what I expected in terms of the car splits here. Lots of Elantras a little bit further on down the grid, and actually not a lot of Civics here. I wasn't really expecting that.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, the grid, how it's formed. What do you think of Oncho qualifying? I think it's interesting. Sometimes maybe I'm used to iRacing now. Always felt like it's a bit unfair that you might just mess it up. But sometimes it really just kind of shows you that every lap counts in this qualifying.
Yeah, and it makes you emphasize sort of just not going off track, really. So here we go for our two grids today. So it's Plasma on top with that great lap time, and then Philip Beckevold lining up alongside Sarah Van Vlietland behind them, and then Rafael Rodriguez in P4. Louise Gordon getting dropped down to the third row, unfortunately, on P5, but she will have the inside line for turn 1 for whatever that's worth. Joni Hagner up in P6 joining them, and then Futaku on the fourth row alongside Mira Grunchins, which I think might be a new driver for our series. I'm not sure I recognize that name. But anyway, back on the fifth row of the TCR class, we have Paschetti and Fabian Danihelka, which is not a name that I recognize either. So, we have quite a few new folks here. That's your top 10 for the TCR class. Down in the MX-5 Cup class, we have Vigil TD on pole, followed by Electroshock. That's a name that a lot of us know, I think. And then Vossi down, starting on the second row alongside Athena Leclerc. Again, some pretty big names here in the Cup class. So definitely we'll see some good racing there too. Inigo Lopez on the third row alongside Anton Burzbo, who is not quite on grid yet, but will be getting there any second now. Parker Olsted and Tyler Cook sharing a row, and then Sarah Mulfetova. I'll look that one up after the race today. And Blade Wolf Kagekio rounding out our top 10 for the Cups. And you can already see as we are lining up here for our formation lap, it's a huge grid. We've got a lot to work out logistically. What can you tell us about the way that we're going to be handling the start here? Because it is a little
that's
different.
One thing I was going to talk about, the start. It's going to be very interesting because we are, at least for this series, we are foregoing the green flag from iRacing, and each driver will have their own start zone. This means that instead of following iRacing's start procedure after the pace car comes in, it's up to the leaders that dictate the start of the class that they are in. It's kind of how we usually do it in multi-class, where we will wait for the leaders to go before we go. But outside, there is TCRs at the back. What happened there?
That's what I was afraid would happen.
Oh no. I hope the TCRs are able to catch up, but I was gonna say, but instead of having the other classes go on the green flag as well, each class leader will have to wait for their own point at the start zone to start the cars. Not sure if they will get any sort of penalty for this from the game, but we'll make sure that we'll see in a bit. But as I was talking about in the procedures, the MX-5 cars will have to actually wait for their turn to be at the start zone in order to start the class. This kind of gives the TCRs kind of have time to, gap themselves a little bit, and it's going to make sure that things just don't go chaotic at the start of the race. So I think it's going to be interesting. Hopefully all the race leaders are able to comprehend what's happening for their own class. We'll hold our breath and make sure that everything goes well.
We're all waiting for that multi-class race start patch, aren't we?
Oh no,
we're doing the best that we can here, and I'm sure that those TCRs that were at the back of the Cup grid will be getting the go-ahead from race control to go ahead and join up with their class, as they already have. The base car is going to peel off here any second now, and in fact is going in right now. It's a little bit of a weird pit lane here, so I think they're probably going to wait until the start-finish straight before they go ahead and go. Plasma controlling the field here, controlling the pace here in the Cup cars, the rest of the field lining up, and we are getting just about ready to go here any minute now. We are, of course, waiting for the green flag from iRacing for this class, and then the special start procedure will be for the Cups. They are 2x2 any second now. And there they go. That's a green flag, and it looks like a really, really good start from Plasma there. Philip Beckevold also trying to get the start here that they needed, but is already defending from Zara van Vliepland, who is coming up the inside of turn 1. Fast King here, I think she should have the line, but it's good braking there from Philip Beckevold to be able to stay out in front. They are still side by side heading into the hairpin of turn 3, and we have an incident behind as well. That's a car around. I think that's Snowy and Jake as well, who were involved in that, and we're cutting back because we've just gotten the green for the MX-5 Cup class as well. So all of them sort of collapsing into a single file line here for the top 6 or 7 here. And there's a little bit of battling going on alongside, but mostly things look pretty orderly here. Ooh, a little bit of a late braking there from the TGR car. They're just going to filter in right behind there. And it looks like things pretty much nice and orderly here for the MX-5 Cup class. Still some jockeying there in the lower reaches of the points and of the lower reaches of the top 10. But again, you can already see the draft games starting with this class. The draft is so crucial for these cars. You're going to have to stay within a second or maybe just a little bit more if you want to stay in the lead of this race. But Vigil doing a very good job keeping on for this one. That's a TCR. That's a Honda Civic in the pits right now. Looks like the steering is out of alignment. It was looking really, really weird as they were coming in there. So that might unfortunately be race over for that particular entry. But yeah, here we are. We're cutting back to our MX-5 class. Already some moves going on. That's Danak Kalmari, who just got a place on Zeem Frostmod there. That's for P13. So already from the back of the grid, Danak working their way up. They only have about 25 minutes to get this one done. So it's going to be a pretty uphill battle. But I think with the pace that they've seen, I think it should be hopefully a top 10 finish by the end of this one. But wow, yeah, lots to keep track of here for the multi-class. And there's already a huge gaggle here, and that's a car around.
What's that?
That's Sarah Bolfatova around, all the way around there, joining Paschetti here at the back of the grid. That is really, really unfortunate. And I think that is one of the things that you can definitely run into when you're heading into turn 3 around here because of the way that the braking is profiled. You can easily end up with a car alongside that you didn't expect to be there. And I think that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, it's definitely very unfortunate for them to get hooked right there into turn 2 and turn 3. But yeah, as you can see, the draft game, everyone's fighting strongly, and Alexander Van der Waal already running a little bit wide. I think getting a little bit missed that breaking point a little bit there on turn 6. But yeah, drivers going side by side. Oh, there's the car. That's Danielle sideways. I'm not sure what happened there. Must have actually got hooked on the rear, but hopefully they're able to cover. Oh no, Paschetti has a weak meatball flag there in the pits. Not sure what's. I think that was the driver that was crabbing just then. I think a lot of drivers are having to battle these very narrow, small kinks in the corners that has caused a little bit of hooking each other here and there. And it's definitely strong close fighting here as everyone just tries to settle down for the first few laps.
Yeah, exactly. I think Paschetti probably was trying to just make it work with the suspension damage, but that's definitely going to be it would be a long fix to be in the pits. So essentially pick the way that you want your race to be over, I think, for Paschetti there, unfortunately. And it looks like Danielle Falsetta has at the very least joined the back of the TCR pack and has not gotten caught up in any MX-5. So that's fortunate there. Alexander Van der Vood now defending from their teammate Parker Olsen here in the Cup class. These TGR cars going at it, and it looks like they're going to be probably close enough to try to get something done on the start-finish straight here. Going through the final corner right now, and there's 2 wide now in turn 7, heading on into turn 8. That's Blade Wolf Kagekio, who is trying to defend and manages to not be able to get it done on Sarah Molfatova, who again was spun around earlier in this race and is, I think, just kind of working their way up here. And you can see the TCRs are already, I think, starting to catch the back of this MX-5 Cup grid. So we are about to get some multi-class passing injected into the rest of this chaos, and I am just trying to keep up with it all.
Yeah, the commentators don't have time to breathe. I think we have the background. We might have a replay of what happened to Pasquetti. But there's just so much happening online that we don't even have time to see that. And that's Fabian, I think, going out wide into turn 2 and turn 3. These cars, because they don't have ABS, the switchback is going to happen. But as I was saying, they just don't have ABS. So when you brake, when you mess up, you will lock up. And when you lock up, you're going in for a ride. So it's definitely interesting. It has definitely stirred up the pot for everyone. As you can see, the highway that is basically turn 5 to turn 6. Everyone's there right now. It's basically insane. Everyone just following in single file before the kink, and then everyone just hoping that they can carry as much speed as possible before they try to brake as late as possible for turn 6. And some drivers have definitely overshot it.
Yeah, very binary luck. And that's a TGR car off into the gravel and taking another car with them over there into the final corner. Both of them in the Armco barrier. They're going to try to rejoin as safely as they can, but there are cars all over the place on the front straight here. That TGR car is still trying to rejoin, not being able to make it happen. We are going to get that to you in just a second here. If I am right, we're going to stand by here for the live shots. I can tell you from looking at the live timing right now, there is still some jockeying for position going on in the TCR class as well. Lots going on here, especially for the MX-5. The leaders are coming up on a huge gaggle right now of these TCR cars trying to make their way through, and that's Plasma being chased by Philip Beckevold, who it looks like probably got the short end of the stick trying to get through this here this pack of MX-5 cars, and Sarah Van Fiepelen as well behind. And yeah, Vossi trying to make this move done as well on Athena Leclerc. They are going to be side by side, and just about as they are getting onto the front straight here, we got a car blinking as well on the straight as well. So that's definitely not going to make anyone feel particularly comfortable. But yeah, we've got a lot going on here. I think they're going to be side by side going into the turn 2 right now, and it looks like Athena Leclerc was just able to get ahead of Vossi here, but again, very, very close going onto the back straight. So there is going to be more to this fight, I think, as we are heading down the hill over onto turn 6. It has to be all of the straights on this track that is bringing these classes together, because the straight line speed is really where the TCRs are catching up to them. So because this track has so many just straight lines like this, that is what's going on right now as we are just trying to get the pictures back. Apologies for that. But yeah, it's still very, very chaotic.
Yeah, it's definitely a very, very busy pack here. I think something that the MX-5s are working on is to take advantage of the chaos that is within the TCR class. Both classes are taking advantage. The leaders of each car hoping they get the bare end of the stick by just making sure they don't get held up at specific corners, especially in the long kinks, such as turn 4 and turn 5, making sure that they're able to get past MX-5s before their rivals. Because if you have drivers that are basically fighting for it, and if they end up having a TCR car, MX-5 car in front of them as it comes into the exit, they might just slow them down significantly unless they want to basically crash into the back of them. And it's basically tactics that they've been doing here and there just to make sure that they're able to basically get positions as much as advantage as possible here.
It's definitely the bread and butter of multi-class racing. We still have some moves going on up in the upper reaches, the top 5 of the TCR class. That was Joni Hagner just getting a move done on Rafael Rodriguez up to P4 now. That's up 2 positions from where they started. Tombstone, by the way, up 9 positions, up to P6. And then Danak, on my live timing sheet, it says up 25 places, but that's because they had to pass the entire MX-5 class at the beginning. But rest assured that they are still doing very, very well to have made it into the top 10. Our other big winners as well. We have in the TCR class, most folks actually are fairly close to where they started. Athena Leclerc has gained a place from where she started. She's in P2 in class, right behind Vigil TD. And when I say right behind, I mean right behind. There's about 2 seconds between those 2 cars, so just about broke the draft between them. But that is still pretty close between them. And yeah, just want to apologize to our audience as well for the lack of trackside pictures. We are trying to get a fix going at the moment, and I think we should be seconds away from a fix, hopefully. And until then, we're going to be a radio broadcast, which is usually works pretty well for racing.
I mean, at the end of the day, we're all trying to basically update everyone what's happening on track, pictures or no pictures, anyways, because it's pretty hectic right now, regardless. Because I don't, it feels like rush hour traffic right now. It's a little bit insane. Maybe because I live in a third world country, it basically just looks like rush hour morning traffic to me right now.
And it looks like that to me too, exactly. And it makes it really binary. Like you either catch the traffic on the straights and you lose no time at all, or you catch it in a hairpin and you lose 1 or 2 seconds. So it's very much a game of cat and mouse here between especially our top three, who are still running quite close to each other. It looks like Philip Beckvold, it's about 2.3 seconds behind Plasma, who is still in the lead of this race and has not really been able to unleash the pace that we've seen from some other stuff. We've had a couple of retirements from this race so far. We have Pescetti, of course, earlier in this race, experiencing suspension damage that they had to retire. And then our first Cup retirement was Andrew Dave, who I don't know if we got a replay on that, but they are also in the pits as well. We have just about 15 minutes left in this
it's only
race.
Been 10 minutes?
Only 10 minutes have passed in this race, Nick. It's
that
been 10
crazy.
minutes. So yeah, and that it just goes to show, I think, just the progress that the folks at the back of the grid have taken here, as Snowy, it looks like, is trying to get a move done on Danielle Falzetta. They're running side by side right now down the main straight. We are going through turn 1 right now. They're still side by side. Danielle Falzetta looks like having the better line for the braking, but Snowy having the inside, and it just got turned around, unfortunately. That was Snowy just trying to break across a little bit, just trying to defend. And I think maybe just those two cars coming together a little bit looked like a racing incident to me. But that is going to send Snowy back to square one and back to the back of the pack. And critically, I think for the race, behind a lot of the cars that they've lapped already, which is definitely one of the more frustrating parts of, well, that was a dive there from Danielle Falzetta on Zrusi Bun, both of them getting upset there. And unfortunately, the leader, Vigil TD of the MX-5 class, getting caught up in that incident, unfortunately, and it looks like their front bumper is completely destroyed. Vigil TD coming into the pits from the lead of the race. That is heartbreaking. And Athena Leclerc will inherit it with quite a bit of a gap to spare between her and Electroshock right behind. They are currently fighting for the lead. That is not what you want to see in multi-class, but stuff like that can happen.
Yeah, it's definitely unfortunate. I think I'm not sure if they kind of missed their breaking point or they might have locked up, given that the TCRs do not have ABS. I didn't see a smoke show there, but definitely unfortunate to get caught up in this incident. I'm not sure if they have a fast repair, but if they do, definitely need to use them as for now. They do have one from what I hear, so definitely need to use it as fast as possible, get out there and continue on with the race. But yeah, definitely interesting fights going on here. I think some drivers might also want to think about fight for the lead as well, but I was going to say some drivers might want to just learn a little bit of side drafting, kind of help slow down their competitors here. Side drafting isn't much used in road racing, but it's definitely, from what I've heard, a little bit of effect does happen here, and it definitely might help you if you know how to utilize it well and basically pull your drivers back a little bit for the dive.
Yeah, definitely. That's certainly true. We have a fight going on here between Vasi and Inigo Lopez, who is currently both trying to make a move stick on Vasi, who is defending very admirably. This is for P2 of the MX-5 class, but also right behind the two of them is Lopez's teammate Parker Olsen, who is also trying to get a move done. Inigo having to sort of duck to the outside more for defense than attack here, it would be my guess. And in the middle of all this, we have some TCRs coming through right now. Those are in fact the leaders of the TCR class who are trying to get through on this fight as well. So definitely battling MX-5s along with the TCRs. It is a lot to try to handle, and it looks like now the teammates Inigo Lopez and Parker Olsen are side by side. Inigo not being able to get anything to stick on Vasi, and Vasi will be absolutely relishing the continued fighting from both the teammates behind and the extra space that it's given them to be able to try to make a push up to Athena Leclerc if they have the pace here in the last 10 minutes of this one.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see how even teammates, because we have some teams that have pretty big driver lineups here, and they're just. It's good to see that there's no team orders; they're just fighting for their own positions. It's nice to see everyone just giving it their all in this grid, and it has been chaotic. I would not want to be. I don't know if I want to be a driver on this class or not be a driver in this series because of how chaotic it is. I'm not sure if it's a good thing to have before I go to bed.
I'll do you one better. Which class would you rather be in of this grid?
I want to be in MX-5s.
Yeah, I get you. Sometimes it can be really hard being the slower class. You feel like it's sort of just down to how nice the TCRs want to be to you, whether they feel like they are disrupting whatever battling you're doing, or just trying to be respectful. I will say, from a lot of the multi-class passing that I've seen, as we're following along board with the battle between Sarah Molfatova and it looks like Tyler Cook here. This is for the lower reaches of the top 10 of the MX-5 class. I will say, from what I've seen from the TCR class, things have been pretty tidy, at least for the passing and just trying to stay behind and be as respectful as they can. A little bit of bullying going on sometimes, especially when they're involved in fights for the lead and they want to make sure that they keep in touch with whatever car is in front of them, because one awkward pass here or there and you could easily find yourself off the draft and pretty well out of the race by that point. But at least so far, at the very least, I haven't seen any particularly egregious class on class violence. That incident with Vigil TD, pretty unintentional from what I could tell. Vigil, by the way, has rejoined the track, unfortunately, at the back of their class. We'll see if they're able to make up any places before the end.
Yeah, it's a bit definitely unfortunate, but gotta remember as well, we have a race 2. Results here will give you the position for race 2, so it's not end of the world just yet. You can still fight for points in race 2. It's going to be set you back a little bit for race 1, but it doesn't mean that your night's over for tonight. So definitely gotta have to keep it on, keep your head down, and continue on for the drivers. And yeah, it's just all about survival. We still have 8 minutes remaining in this race. It's about 8 laps, I assume, given that it's a minute a lap. So for the TCR at least. So it's gonna be interesting.
Oh yeah, so now it looks like Athena Leclerc has, unfortunately, the gap has been closed between her and Vossi for the lead of the race, and now it's actually a 4-way fight. They are weaving down the straight right now, trying to break the toe. They're on the start-finish straight right now, heading into turn 1. I don't know if Vossi's going to shake for a move on this one. I think they're just a little bit too far behind heading into turn 1 here. They're on the brakes heading into turn 2, way over the curb and just absolutely bouncing across it into the hairpin of turn 3. All of them staying single file 1, 2, 3, 4. The order as it stands right now is Athena in front, and then Vossi right behind, and then just a little bit of a gap down to Parker Olsen in P3, holding on to that podium position, but Inigo Lopez right behind them in P4. So it is definitely still anyone's game here, and they're going side by side into the hairpin with a TCR coming up on the inside of them. Athena's going to try to hold this with the car on the inside, and she does it admirably. And Vossi getting the short end of the stick on that particular one, because it's now put them side by side with Parker Olsen, who is trying to make a move into P2, trying to use the opportunity to get into the final quarter here. Athena Leclerc is ducked into the back of a Honda Civic there, who was lapping her, and that has unfortunately dropped her from the lead. She's now not only in P2, but fighting with Vossi for P3, and Parker, the big winner out of all of that, who's now in the lead of this class.
Yeah, I don't think she'll be happy about what happened there. She also picked up a little bit of damage on the front bumper, as you can see there. I'm not sure if that's going to affect the top end speed. Hopefully not. It's definitely pretty pushed in, but hopefully they're able to hold it. Oh my god, the car's going wide squiggly here and that. They got to make sure they got to keep their incident points in as well. 17 off tracks, and they will get a drive-through for exceeding track limits. So they have to make sure that, yes, you can fight. Make sure you don't. Make sure you keep your incident points in check. We do not have a safety rating here. That's a good point. You don't lose your racing license for getting too much incidents. But Lord, there is so many people right here on the straight. It's crazy, the fight here, and the TCR is getting boxed in right there.
Yeah, that was actually a really good defensive move there from Parker Olsen. Unfortunately, it's not going to really do very much for them. They were sort of running, they were sort of trying to run Athena into the TCR to sort of like break up and disrupt her line. But unfortunately, she did manage to hang in there. And I think that is a little bit of contact there just after the apex. And I think that's probably going to kill Athena's run. Of course, the front bumper damage, of course, not helping, not only with the aerodynamics, but also the front of the car is what is housing the engine in the MX-5 Cup, and the engine around this track is certainly everything. We're going to go nearly 3 wide here into turn 1. Athena holding the inside against Parker Olsen and Vasi right behind, trying to find some kind of way around, and somehow in all of this, Inigo is still sort of on the back of this group. Athena defending well there and has managed to keep the lead, but now Inigo is entering the fight for P3 at this point, is going to be looking for a nice switchback there, strays off track just a little bit on the exit of turn 4 or 5 there, and we're heading into the kink, and this touring car here is not getting lucky with the traffic here, especially catching those cars in the kink. I'm not sure if they have to brake, but they the MX-5s definitely do. Parker goes way wide there, and there's contact between Parker. There's contact between Parker and Vasi, and both of them, it's actually just Vasi, I think, has managed to find the Armco barrier off to the left of turn 6, and the back of their car is looking absolutely wrecked right now. Whether it's the front or the back, that amount of damage is absolutely not something that you want to see, and that is going to put them well out of this fight. It's now a 3-car battle, 3 cars remaining for the lead of the MX-5 class.
Yeah, hopefully not no steering damage for them. They look pretty flat. I think the most they'll do is they just made themselves a giant parachute at the back of the car, but I think they'll do just fine. But yeah, unfortunate for them to be out of this fight, but Athena Leclerc still holding on, fighting for P1 right now. Inigo Lopez is the one in P2, and that's just like that, staying in P4. Got themselves just climbing up the ladder, but now they're basically fighting for track positions with the TCR car. Hopefully they're able to get a break in all this. If not, they're just getting P3, just pulling up closer and closer to them just from bad traffic luck. And it seems that the TCRs are just not letting by 4 cars here on the back of the straight. It's going to be fight. And Inigo, knowing that Leclerc ran into the back of one, trying to get as far away as possible for them, because it seems like the TCRs don't have much cornering speed compared to the MX-5s.
No, certainly not. That is where the classes start to sort of come together, and it means that the MX-5s are sort of able to, and we've seen it on occasion here. Sometimes they will actually defend a corner against the TCRs, just to say, not to say you can't pass me, but to say don't pass me here. I don't want you to be disrupting my line at this particular moment in time. And you can see the kind of difference that can make, as right now it's not only Parker dropping off of the back of Athena Leclerc, but also it's very, very close between them and Inigo Lopez now for P2. We're cutting back to that fight that we've seen before between Sarah Molfatova and Tyler Cook, who are still going at it. Both of these cars looking pretty damaged, but they are still fighting with each other. And they are also coming up against it looks like some traffic as well, potentially. That is the 38 of Alexander van der Vood, who has actually been lapped by most of the MX-5 Cup class. So that car not battling for position, but has unfortunately found themselves in between a whole gaggle of 3 MX-5s and 2 TCRs, one of whom is flashing to try to get around. This fight is not doing them any favors. The car in front able to sort of get away quite a bit. That looks like a crazy canine car in front of that one.
Yeah, it's definitely a traffic here. Wolfin's gonna make a move. I think that's from the only Veloster on track. Is that Wolfin? The Veloster's making a very big. Yeah, there is it's going to make some moves to get past this traffic pack here with Sarah here, and it's definitely interesting to see how these TCR cars fight. They know that they are strong on the straights, but they have to decide if they want to overtake now or later. And sometimes you just get really unfortunate, especially in the third sector where everything is just basically a single file area. And if you try to make a move, you're basically losing time in front and behind. So sometimes it's just beneficial to just stay together, I guess.
Alexander van der Vood, they're clearly having the pace on these 2 cars that are still battling for position. They've unlapped themselves from this fight. So fortunately, they should be able to just get up the road and not interfere anymore. Ooh, that was really close for Luis Gordon trying to get around this group as well. All of these TCRs just trying to manage these little gaggles as much as they can. You can see with the draft on our track map, it looks like there's quite a few of looks like there's just quite a few little pockets of very close fighting that have been happening with the draft coming up. We'll get you back to the TCR class here now. It is, as of this moment, this is Sarah Van Fleetland who is fighting against Joni Hagner, defending against Joni Hagner behind. Sarah pretty far off of the back of the fight with Philip Beckevold. There's 7 seconds between them and the cars in front. That was a pretty ambitious dive there from Joni Hagner, but both the cars managing to stay on the track, and Sarah managing to defend that one pretty well as well. Sarah, of course, a very good defensive driver. Joni Hagner beginning to flash down this straight, just trying to throw her off her line. We have only maybe 1 lap left of this race. The leader, Plasma, is coming around the final corner right now. I think crossing the line, this should give us the white flag. Most likely not the checkered. We'll be seeing the flag stand in just a little bit. It is the checkered flag, so Plasma will be taking the win here in race 1 for the TCR class. Philip Beckevold, 4 seconds behind, will take that one, and it also means that with the overall leader of the race crossing the line, this will be the last lap for the MX-5s as well, and that is Athena Leclerc at the end of it all, crossing the line. Not particularly close between her and the rest of those field. I think Parker Olsen and Inigo Lopez got caught up with each other fighting for P2, but it's Parker in front of Inigo for the podium of the MX-5 class. And we have a race to the line here between Sarah Molfatova and Tyler Cook, and it's Sarah who comes out in front at the end of that one. I'm expecting in race 2 probably some more battles all the way to the line between these two cars. And wow, what a race to start off with here. We will have race 2 here for you just a second. The order of this one is going to determine the order of the grid for race 2. No reverse grid here, as we've said.
Yeah, it definitely was a very hectic race, and I already see chatter among drivers among their own drivers chat, and it's very close packed the way that these drivers race here, and I think some drivers that are not used to multi-class racing will feel like they're basically in chaos. But I think some of us might feel like we're basically here like, oh, we're kind of used to this. But at the end of the day, the closing speed is insane. The cars feel different. When we're talking about multi-class, we're just so used to having cars that are planted on the ground. GT3s, prototypes. These cars slide everywhere. And if you're not used to seeing cars going sideways in corners, you might get spooked and you might lose confidence around corners. And that might catch you off guard and your competitors. And it's definitely just chaos all around, I would say.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Of course, the TCRs in terms of their multi-class rivals, typically they are accompanied by the GT4s, which they are the slower class between those two in the Michelin Pilot Challenge, a series that I actually like quite a bit. I always tend to look at that series every time it comes around. So, yeah, typically I think we're used to the TCRs being the slower class, and these are in here they are the faster ones. And yeah, like you said, I think the closing speeds are definitely a little bit more than we were expecting. They're pretty comparable to. If I had to say, it's been looking pretty similar to like hypercars on GT3s is kind of what the closing speed is looking like to me. Obviously, we're not going that fast, but just relatively speaking.
Yeah, but I was gonna say there's one series here where the MX-5s are used to being multi-class, and that is the Production Car Challenge. I believe we still have the MX-5s here along with the 86. And instead of the old Mustang that we used to have, we do have the M2 along with the Clio Cup cars. So definitely that's one place that we see cars that are squarely going for multi-class races. But other than that, the MX-5 cars fighting as hard as they usually are in any series that we see them in, and having the TCR here, which they usually fight close to are it's just a big stew of just insanity, and I like it in the commentary booth. It's a bit insane. I'm sorry that you're doing most of the commentary this time around. Hopefully, I'll be able to back you up next time around. But I'm trying as much as I can to make sure I can back you up this race.
It's no worries at all. I've been having a really fun time having a conversation with you here. By the way, we are getting the sim restarted so that we can get you some more trackside pictures,
back.
and we are back actually. So thankfully we are back, and yeah, we have a little warm up here. Should just be a few minutes in between race 1 and race 2. So. Yeah, but the if I'm reading the chat right, the reviews are in and the reviews are mixed, I would say so far for this series. But yeah, we'll see how this one goes. Obviously, we do have the fast repairs, so that should help as well. I think that is going to be it for our warm up. And we have a little bit of a shorter period here before we get you onto the grid. But just as a recap, let's run you through our grid for race 2 here, shall we? So we have Plasma on pole once again, winner of that race previously from pole and starting on pole once again.
Hello. Can
Philip
I
Beckvold alongside them,
join
nothing
the
changing there.
PCR
And Sarah Van Fleetland as well. Joni Hagner in P4. We have Rafael Rodriguez in P5 lining up alongside Tombstone, who made a lot of progress after that failed qualifying. So starting P6, a lot better position for them to be starting this race in. Louise Gordon going down a little bit. She's down in P7, followed by Futaku, and then Dinat Kalmari in P9, who, again, was one of those cars that needed to work their way back up the grid after not setting a qualifying time. So should be in the conversation, at least, for a good finish on this one. Oily Rags in P10, and that will do it for the TCRs. And then Athena Leclerc, Inigo Lopez, and Parker Olsen in our top 3 for the MX-5s. I think actually it should be Parker on Inigo for this one. We're just getting the order mixed around a little bit with the formation lap. So I think from what I remember of the finishing order last time, it should be Parker on the front row along with Inigo Lopez, and then Anton Burzbo in P4. Vossi making their way up to P5 here on the grid this time around. Sawyer Hawkins and then Sarah Molfatova. But yeah, I'm getting cars mixed around as we go here. So all of this is probably not going to be very accurate, but I at least should get them within a grid place or two, hopefully. But yeah, so I think it's looking pretty similar in terms of the starting order from the first race, but with those cars that were at the back that failed to set a time up into the actual places for TCR, I think we should be getting a lot more action up in that class.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Given the second race is, I would say for some drivers is basically a redeeming race. So some drivers will definitely try to push it as hard as they can for this race, given that they basically lost points on the first race. But hopefully, they kind of got a taste of what it was like at the first start. So hopefully they're able to basically adapt to the second start, and we'll see how things go. I think that's gonna be the pace car coming in, and it's gonna be Jordan Johnson getting ready for the start, coming down into turn. Which turn is this? This is turn 7 and going to turn 8. I think if you can do the honors for the start.
Yeah, sure thing. And once again, Vigil TD, who was on pole for the MX-5s, down in the very bottom of that class now, so has a lot of work to do to get back up here. We are going to go green any second here with the TCRs. A couple of them just joining the back of the grid right now. They may make it a little bit awkward back there, but we'll see. We are green flag racing right now. Good start once again from Plasma, but it's looking a lot more chaotic behind. God. A lot more cars in the mix here for P2, P3, P4. We're almost going 3 wide into turn 1 there. The first braking zone of turn 2. Some cars getting a little bit loose on the braking as well, but things are looking a lot tidier than it did last time in this class.
There is a sideways.
There's maybe one car sideways off into the grass, thankfully able to rejoin nice and safely. That's a Crazy Canine car, and we're green flag racing as well for the MX-5s. It looks like once again the class is mostly collapsed into a line for the top 4, and it is as they stand, at least so far here. Athena Arena, getting good launch there, able to control the pace, and so is naturally able to get a nice clean start. We're going almost 2x2 down further in the grid, though. Vossi trying to make up a place here. That's on Anton Burzbo, I think, on their inside, and I think they're able to, that was Tyler Cook there that they were able to get that done on. We're going back up to the TCRs now, and that's Sarah Van Fupen fighting once again with Joni Hagner, who is legging it out and getting that position from her. It looks like not a great run at all onto this one. She might even have to defend from Rafael Rodriguez here in the Crazy K9, the purple one. And that is very, very loose. That was a nice drift, though, for a front-wheel drive car. Hopping over the curb there and getting really upset. That is going to absolutely kill their run and, in fact, cost them not one but two positions there. They are all the way back into P6 now and one place down from where they started.
Yeah, it's definitely. Oh my God, Sarah and Yoni both are going side by side into turn 5, and it's definitely a very strong fight here. Yeah, Rafael basically lost all their momentum trying to save the car, and that's definitely hurt them. But luckily, they're still in the pack. Yoni and Sarah both not letting go of this position, and it's going to cost them a lot of time for the car in front. But I think that they know the pack in front is a lost cause, so they are going to fight for this position right here. And the fight. It feels like this fight is not going to let off for the next 25 minutes. Oh, there's a car behind.
There's a Crazy K9 around. That's Danak Kalmari around as well, it looks like. Or no, sorry, Danak making up a place. Maybe was involved in that incident. We might get a replay, but that's a tow, unfortunately, from Danielle Falsetta, the Crazy K9 driver. That's two drivers out of our grid already. Luis Adeline as well, also involved in an incident, unfortunately, from P4 or 5 on this grid. So that's very unfortunate. Danielle Falsetta getting going once again, it looks like, and yeah, that is just getting tapped a little bit by Danak, and it became a little bit of bumper cars there as the rest of the cars were trying to get up there. That uphill final corner not giving the drivers behind a lot of visibility on that incident, so I don't blame them at all for getting caught up in it.
Yeah, definitely not a good place to get caught by. I think it's just unfortunate placement of having an issue there, so it's unfortunate for them, I guess. Right now, looking at Virgil, I unfortunately lost him. I think you have to take over for this one. Side by side with Alexander Van der Wold. It seems like. So it looks like it's going to be a fight for the MX-5 cars. I finally found the car that we're looking at. It's definitely a very close fight here with the MX-5 cars. Very side by side here. But they finally fouled in single foul. It's definitely a long traffic. The drivers still don't light up for this class. They're all still fighting very close. But car 38, isn't that car 38? That is Alexander. Sorry. Oh, there is contact. Alexander just ran a bit wide into the corner.
Both of them off once again. That's another run of bad luck for Alexander Van der Voort, who also spent the last race at the back of the grid as well. So that's really unfortunate. That's 2 races in a row that they've been fighting for those upper positions. But that's a great run there from Vossi, as well as Anton Burzbo, who were both able to benefit a little bit from the fighting behind. And I think that was 2 or 3 positions in one straight for the both of them. They are settling back into single file right now. The 79 of Sarah Molfatova trying to find a way back in as well. When you get outside of the sort of draft train, it's really, really hard to find your way back into it sometimes. And here we go. Speaking of draft trains, we've got one headed up right now. This is the Joni Hagner train that we're on board with now. Sarah Van Fiepen trying to defend against a very, very fast-looking Tombstone with Rafael Rodriguez again behind as well. So this is a mostly, we have almost every car in the class represented in this little group here, and that is the 64. That is the last placed MX-5 right now that they are making their way through right now. So the lapping has already begun 5 minutes into this race, and this is where the chaos is going to kick off in case it wasn't already. This group getting a little bit off of the back of, looks like that's a lapped car up in front. That's Danielle Falsetta, and then I think the leaders up there as well. But Danak trying to recover here, trying to get this move done on Wolfen, it looks like, up in front. Should be the faster car here, but it's really, really hard. in these cars to find a way around. The speed difference has to be quite good, and Danak is just going to send one, absolutely firing it into the final corner, and that is going to be good enough. Gets the car stopped, thankfully, and that side-by-side there between Sarah Van Vliet and Joni Hagner. She's finally pulling the trigger on this move that's been brewing for a couple of turns now, forces them out wide, and Joni Hagner looking for a switchback and a little bit of parking on the apex there for Sarah, but I think it was all well and good, getting held up there by the MX-5 as well, and that is going to bring Joni right back.
Oh no!
And that is both of them off now. Just a really, really unfortunate sequence of events there. Just trying to get through that one as much as possible, as safely as possible, and it was not safe at all. That's Sarah Van Vliet losing a wheel, towing back to the grid, and yeah, just caught those MX-5s in exactly the wrong position.
Yeah, and Yoni's crabbing back. I assume they have got the meatball fight. They are going to go back immediately for repairs, I assume.
Yeah, that's some high quality iRacing glue there is what I'll chalk that one up to. Definitely, if you catch a car on the rear quarter like that, they tend to stick together, and it was sort of it looked outwardly like a pretty perfectly executed pit maneuver. And yeah, I think just it might have been some pretty bad net code as well, from what I could see. So a couple of factors playing into that one. Unfortunately, when you're racing cars that are this slow and you're trying to race this closely, stuff like that is bound to happen.
Yeah, that is definitely unfortunate for them. Right now, everyone's just continuing trucking along. We're still going fight for Lewis Gordon against Pasquetti. Car behind the Danak still trying to make a move, trying to catch up with all that. Pasquetti, it feels like getting held up. I think that's gonna be beneficial for Lewis. Lewis on the outside from Pasquetti. I think Pasquetti's not gonna be happy with the lap traffic, and just like that, Lewis already a position ahead of Pasquetti that was basically not even in the range for Pasquetti. And this traffic here is just basically insane. They have MX-5 Cup cars getting lapped. We have a TCR car getting lapped itself. Pasquetti almost getting. This is just disaster. I'm sorry, I can't keep up myself.
Little bit of contact there between the Cup car and Danak, who is trying to find a way around and has finally, I think, found some clear air, is going to try to push back up to Pasquetti. But yeah, as you said, trying to lap the MX-5s, trying to lap the TCR there of Danielle Falsetta as well. A little bit of a bump there, it looked like, from Oily Rags on Futaku, who we're following along with right now in the Audi. Futaku managing to hold on to this position, it looks like, and also trying to box Oily into the one on the side. It's a carbon copy of the move that we saw just a few minutes ago against Sarah Van Vliet there. Yeah, it was just a combination there. I think a lot of drivers are thinking that they have a lot more room after that kink than they actually do, and that's what's leading to a lot of this that we're seeing here. But yeah, really unfortunate. It looks like we're getting a lot more retirements and pit, toes back to the pits than we were in the first race, unfortunately.
I think drivers are getting a bit too comfortable. As we're talking about the fight for the lead. I was gonna say drivers might have been a little bit too comfortable with driving close to each other, and they kind of forget how narrow this track is. And I think this has caused a lot of drivers getting pit maneuvered here, unfortunately, for race 2. But gotta remember, gotta stay alive to actually get points in this race.
Yeah, it looks wide, but with the sort of high commitment, high speed corners, it's actually a lot narrower than it tends to look. But yeah, this is the closest that we've ever seen it for the lead. Philip Beckevold within 0.3 of a second of Plasma for the lead of the race and the lead of the TCR class. They're heading on to the final straight right now. Can Philip get the exit that they needed? And I think they just about did. That gap coming down at a rate of hundredths right now. 0.25, 0.24. We are seeing it shrink and shrink as we get further down. We're going to hop on to our rear bumper cam. This is what Plasma is seeing in the rearview mirror right now. Heading through turn 1, braking for turn 2. That is so close between them. And heading into turn 3 here. Not a very defensive shape thrown, but just slightly. Just making sure that Philip wasn't going to try to send one up the inside there, because if you have the overlap, you can really tend to slam on the brakes in this class. Meanwhile, further down the grid, forward. We have Luis Gordon getting a move done on Mira Grunchins right now. That is for P8 overall in the class. So working her way back up from where she started. Again, we did see her get turned around at the beginning of this race. She's in P8 right now. That's one place down from where she started, down in P7. And meanwhile, we have Tombstone getting passed by Rafael Rodriguez here in the purple Crazy K9 Elantra TCR. This is an Elantra on Elantra battle. And this is for P4 of the, or no, sorry, this is for the podium. Tombstone bump drafting, not really drafting per se, but just trying to hurry Rafael through that final corner of the racetrack to try to make this move work. There is absolutely nothing between them as it stands right now. About the same gap as we were seeing between Plasma and Philip Beckevold on this straight, and we saw that that wasn't enough for Philip, and it's not going to be enough for Tombstone either, so they're going to have to try again on the back straight.
Yeah, it's definitely a very close fight here. Louis Gordon in P8. I think trying to make a move on Jake, if that's correct. If my time is no, that's Daniel Taberman. No, that's Jake. It is Jake. It is, but going out wide here, gotta be careful not to not get too much incident points. But leaving as much position as space as possible for Jake. But I think that's a bit too much as they go side by side into turn turn 4, and still the fight's still going on. But just like because of the extra space they gave, they basically lost the position to Jake, and they gotta fight for the position again. But Mira at the back seems like we're able to make a move, coming down into the hard braking zone. But can they defend it? They might, just because the MX-5 is just right there, and the MX-5 getting out of the way. But Lewis still gets his position, still keeps the position for it, and the next still gonna make a move on Mira just because of that. Side by side coming down into the last 2 corners. Will Danak make it stick? Seems like he's unable to. It's going to continue on side by side into the start finish straight. This TCR race for the mid pack is definitely still going on, and a little bit of side draft from Mira maybe, and seems like a little bit pushing left and right, both banging doors just to say I need that position, but I'm not giving you as much position as I want to. So coming down into side by side into the first 2 corners again, and Danak might get the position. Do you think breaking hard, and Danak might have just secured P9 for this fight right now?
Yeah, had the line, and that was good enough. And yeah, it was really just a matter there of just anybody trying to get a move done, and it was just a cycle of one car trying the move, losing time to the car behind, and then that car trying to make a move on them, and then failing, and then losing that position as well. But Danak is going to get a great view, as are we, of this side-by-side between Luis Gordon and Jake, and they are still going to be side-by-side heading into turn 7 here, but it looks like Luis is just able to get the power on a little bit sooner on that outside line, and that is going to be position secured for now for Jake. Who knows how long or for Luis, who knows how long she's going to be able to hold on to that.
Oh.
And that is also a pretty good opportunity here for Danak Kalmari. This is pretty close. They're within 0.2 of a second. We've seen that gap has to be around here at the very least to be able to make that move get done. But that is, of course, without the draft in front. So this is absolutely helping Jake's case as well to be able to get the draft from Luis Gordon up in front to help them defend. And that is going to prove decisive, as Danak is not going to be able to find a way around. But you know who is going to find a way around? Actually, never mind. It was Mira trying to get one done on Paschetti, and that one ended up not happening. Yeah, just the draft in these cars, you would think it would make it easier to get these moves done, especially on a high-speed straight like this, but it's just the speed difference is not as much as we would hope it is. And again, sort of the well-balanced nature of these cars.
Oh my
3
God.
wide there with the traffic on the outside, just has to go ahead and cede position to all 5 of these TCRs as they are continuing to go around. Obviously, no real battle for that particular car, so nothing that they're particularly losing by just ducking out of the way there and making themselves as small of a target as possible, which I think we've seen from this race that tends to pay dividends if you tend to stay out of the way of the big guns.
Yeah, we're looking back to Anton Burspo, given that they dropped a few positions suddenly. So I'm not sure what's going on, but the fight for P6 is still going strong in the MX-5 Cup class. Kelshan right now still having a fight with Aaron and Tyler Cook, it seems. Right now, side by side, coming down into this corner right here. It's gonna be the TCRs just being in the way, and it's just unfortunate they got blocked in here. But the fight still goes on for these cars. They gotta find their way. They gotta filter through, and it seems like Inigo Lopez in danger from Kelshan right now, given that TCRs are around them left and right. But they have to make the move done right now. not sure. I think Helshin got the short end of the stick coming down the final straight, given they aren't able to close up as fast as they could. Seems like Inigo Lopez might be able to keep this position for a lap or two for now.
Yeah, for a lap or two, that seems to be about as long as anybody can keep a position for, especially in the MX-5 class. But yeah, that was Raphael making those moves stick on the MX-5 class. Tombstone, of course, right behind as well, and it looks like Tombstone probably got a little bit unlucky for this. This is Vossi fighting with Parker. This is for P2. This is great news for Athena Leclerc, who you can see right up in front further on in shot. She's trying to run away, and these two have really not been separated by a whole lot for pretty much this entire race. But this is basically the first little gap of daylight that we've seen between the two leaders, at least so far. And this is a story that we've seen before in race 1. It's Parker Olsen on Vossi trying to get this move done. We've seen that these two cars' pace has been really, really similar throughout these two races. Really, they've been glued to each other pretty much all afternoon. And I don't know if this is going to be quite close enough. Vossi has just about lost the draft, I think, to Athena in front, or if they have it, it's just barely. So it's not going to be doing very much for them. And I think that outside line into the braking zone is actually tended to be a pretty good defensive line, at least for these cars. And again, Raphael behind trying to get things done here. This is for the lead. This is Philip Beckevold side by side with Plasma for the lead of this race. And that is the first time that we've seen a leader other than Plasma in this race. They're going to hang on around the outside here just about. It's Plasma still in front, but Philip's still behind trying to get this switchback done. They're into the final corner right now. This should definitely be close enough to be able to get the run going, but are they going to be able to carry that momentum enough to be able to get anything done? They're closing up right now. The gap is a 10th and a half between these cars right now. We're heading into turn 1 right now. It looks like Philip is going to try to shake for the outside line here. We've seen that line work. They're going to try to carry the speed, and there's an MX-5 in the middle of all this as well. Get out of the way. There's a fight for the lead going on here, man. We are getting, thankfully did not disrupt it too much. I think it maybe was a little bit of a gap forming there just because of that down the main straight, or down the back straight, I should say. But this should also be plenty close enough to try to get one done. And there's another MX-5 here. That's the 64 of Andrew Dave as well. So definitely this is throwing a wrench into Plasma's bid to try to stay around. They're just going to go ahead and duck off the track and just decided, I don't want any more of being behind this MX-5. I'm going to lose the position if I do. Let me just go off track. And once again, same story here. A little bit of contact though this time. Same story though for Phil trying to get that outside line done around the final corner just to try to get a better exit onto here. And it is one more lap.
Yeah, it's gonna be one more lap, but will Plasma survive this? It seems like Philip might have the pace. They just need to be a little bit more lucky with the lap traffic, and these lap traffic look like they're paid actors, given that they just show up in every corner right now, and it's a bit funny, it's a bit insane, but it's just entertaining for us. I think Plasma's cursing at every single one that they meet up right now, and it's just fun to see Philip just fighting it through. These two have long rivalries between series in iRacing, from Porsche Cup to F4, and now they're gonna battle it out for TCR, and it's gonna be fun to see how who will survive this race, at least for the next more than 5 minutes, 5, 6, 7 minutes remaining. Actually, it's 6 minutes remaining into this race, and it's gonna be fun this entire race, I feel like.
Yeah, it's really nice, and you've got to keep your head on a swivel as well. Very, very close between these two cars, practically rubbing front and rear bumpers as they are heading onto the front straight. Once again, that gap about the same as it has been, maybe a little bit farther, but I think we'll probably be able to see pretty well from this onboard shot. I've been noticing a real difference in the line that Plasma is taking versus Philip. Philip really likes getting, and they're going to do it once again, really likes getting out onto this green stuff out on the outside of this corner, and it's been allowing them to carry a lot more speed and be able to brake just a little bit later. But it is it looks like compromising their exit out of turn 3, which is what is creating this slightly wider gap as we head onto the back straight and sort of killing their chances into turn 6. So just the tactics being played right now, just both these cars trying to figure out where they're faster and where they're slower. And from what I can see, it's really close to call.
It seems like Plasma is definitely stronger on the brakes, given that they start to always start like a little gap on the braking, but it seems like both are fighting really close. I think that's going to be a time, at least it's very close to being a tap. I wonder if Philip's able to just reach a hand out and scribble on the car, given the car is full of scribbles right now. But but they're gonna fight it on for the next 5 more minutes. But Paschetti here on the move with Panu. Oh, there's the contact side by side. Oh, they do survive it though. Oh, that is close. Luckily, they might just lose a position with the car outside there, but they're definitely still going on. Mira just getting the benefits of them fighting, and they're still gonna bang doors with each other. Jake, Paschetti, both not letting by as they're fighting for the last 5 minutes, and it's gonna be interesting to see who wins. Maybe Mira might just walk away. Oh, there is some tap.
What a
Jake.
send!
That is a big send. I think that is a little bit of camber damage you can see on Jake's car. I don't know if that's going to affect Mira or not, but that's definitely Paschetti be like, thank you. I'll take that position back from you guys. Mira is definitely not happy about the move right there. Oh my god!
I thought I saw sparks fly from the way that car sort of scraped across the rear bumper of the Crazy K9 car in front.
Oh my god!
It is absolute chaos here in the mid pack of the TCR grid. That's Athena Leclerc also in the middle of all this, and Vossi and Parker behind. You can see them still battling as well. I feel like they've been side by side for the last 10 minutes, and it seems like they still are. But yeah, just like going through this kink. Like, tell me if you've seen that one before, Nick, because like we've been seeing a lot of incidents right around that corner. It's been a real hotspot of activity for this one. And yeah, all of this chaos here has actually closed up the fight for the MX-5 grid as well. And not only is Parker able to get that move done on Vossi, but they're now fighting for the lead of the class. That's Athena Leclerc right in front. So it's now a 3-car battle for the lead. Athena, all of that work that she had done to open up this gap has now come crumbling down in the last 3 minutes of this race. So just a couple laps longer to get this one done. And they are going to, I assume, be bump driving each other down the straight, trying to get this done. Athena hoping for any sort of draft that she can get. And at this point is now just trying to take that inside line, trying to make a statement of intent for what she's going to do for this one. I wouldn't be surprised if this one was 3 wide in turn 1. It's not going to be, though. Parker with the outside line, though, that is very brave on the brakes. And I think with just a little bit of sliding, that is going to end up killing their run, and it's going to end up bringing Vossi into the picture as well. Vossi now able to just try to get that inside line, but it's not going to be enough of an overlap and not enough of an overspeed for Vossi to be able to get that done. And it is as they were heading down onto the back straight now. Game reset a little bit now.
Yeah, Athena Leclerc is definitely cursing at all the TCR cars right now, given that they are basically lost all her progress of gapping the cars behind, and now they have to fight for their life. That Parker also make a big move on Athena Leclerc. Athena's gonna have the inside for the next corner, but that is a big move. That's gonna be their head ahead. Gonna be P1 temporarily, but Athena Leclerc still holding on. But that means Parker also is gonna have the inside line for the last corner. Will Athena Leclerc make a switchback? Not quite yet, but Athena Leclerc does have a run. This means that Athena Leclerc holds on to P1. That's going to be they're gonna hold on for the next 2 laps or so, or else they might just lose it for the next at the end of the race.
Yeah, very, very well held for Athena. All of them are just drifting towards the inside of the track, trying to get that inside line, and it's just more bumping and more chaos as more TCRs end up on the scene as well. Vossi going over the grass a little bit. We're all saying, uh-oh, in the broadcast booth, and that's a little bit of a tap there to Athena Leclerc from the TCR. And it's 3 wide now through turn 3, but they are still as they were, though. They end up sorting themselves out. There's a TCR on the inside. There's a TCR on the outside. Fortunately, Athena is going to get out of that one alive, which I think is mostly all you can hope for at this point. And to boot, also holds on to the lead of the race. This is also a little bit of a battle as well. That is for the lead of the race. Look at this!
Oh my!
It's no! Philip Beckefold going around the outside here, and Philip Beckefold getting forced offline. All of the leaders have made their way onto the same part of the racetrack in the last minute of this race, and that was lucky for Plasma because it looked like Philip had their number there, and it was just that little bit of contact between these two. What were you interrupting me with?
Parker Olsen took the lead. I think Leclerc's P2.
Yeah, there it is. So they've, with the dust settled down.
It's a white flag. It's white flag for this lap.
This is the white flag. This is the final lap here for both of these classes. We're going to see both of them for the lead here. And that's another MX-5 that both of these
Get
have
out
to
of the way!
deal with. Huge slowdown there for Philip. I think that is just about going to seal the deal for Plasma, unfortunately. And Athena is having to defend from Vossi now, so that should maybe seal the deal for Parker as well, unless she can get something done down into the final corner. But it looks like it's not going to be a battle for P1, but for P2 here in the final few seconds of this race. Vossi very, very close behind the back of Athena Leclerc, and I think they're probably going to be able to get one done. Athena has to choose her line here. She's not yet chosen her line. Vossi's going to look towards the inside very briefly, and it's going to blink out of existence, unfortunately, for just a few seconds there. Nothing happening into turn 6, but we cut to Plasma going through the final corner, getting across the line, and that was unfortunately just bad traffic there for Philip, killing their run. But let's see if we can get back to the fight for the lead of the TCR class. All of them coming together, and very, very wide there for Athena. I think if they're able to make this happen on the run down to the line, it's going to be very, very close between them. Door, corner, and no, not just. It's going to be a race win in the MX-5 class for Parker Olsen. At the end of it all, just a 1/10 of a second separating them and Athena Leclerc. She comes home second. Vossi rounding out our podium. I am a little bit out of breath and my throat's a little sore.
You definitely need to take a break. Everyone's kind of starting to slowly get across the checkered flag, and that has been insane for all the drivers. We're seeing all the drivers slowly filtering back. I think that the fight at the very back there for the TCR, that's still a fight, I think. That was the driver that crossed the line right before. And right now, Starkey is still fighting, I think. Oh no, that's just the team driving each other. They're finished. They're just driving side by side with each other. I think we're all done with all this. This has been very interesting as a multi-class, but it's definitely very tired for all us commentators. More Kady than me, given that I only got information halfway through this race. But definitely, we all need to take a breather after this one.
Yeah, no, awesome job, and I've loved having you alongside. And yeah, I think that is definitely what that is probably what this series is going to be looking like for basically the rest of what we can expect for this series. I can't imagine everybody sort of doing their donuts.
A bit scared.
They're well-deserved.
A bit scared.
Donuts. Yeah, so at the top of our grid, it's Plasma taking the TCR back-to-back for both races today, taking the win. So that is going to be as strong of a start as you can possibly get for the start of this series. Philip Beckevold right behind, also finished P2 in both races, so that is definitely going to be a battle that we're going to be looking at all season long, if I had to guess. Tombstone rounding out the podium, up 3 places from where they started. A great drive for them. Rafael Rodriguez in P4 and Donat Kalmari up 4 places in P5. I think a top 5 finish is a really, really good one for them as well. We're doing some reverse donuts here in the in the TCRs, which you can do because they're front wheel drive. In fact, I don't think you can actually do a normal donut in those cars. I think it looks awesome. Yeah, we're gonna get you the results here from Navarra in just a second. But yeah, at the top of our MX-5 class, it's Athena Leclerc, it's Parker Olsen taking the win in race 2 and Athena taking the win in race 1. So those two are tied on points. And Vossi as well taking some really, really good results as well for both of these races, actually, up 3 places, up to P3. Tyler Cook actually also had a great finish up into P5. We saw, those 2 cars pretty much glued together for a lot of this one. So yeah, great finish from them as well. And yeah, what a couple races here. Definitely the reviews still mixed, I would say, from the drivers, but yeah, I think there's definitely still a lot of fun to be had. Where are we headed next week?
We are heading to the one and only Lime Rock Park Classic. It's gonna be interesting because I know for a fact certain corners in Lime Rock Park, if the MX-5 drive a bit too aggressively on the curb, they might get their suspensions pushed in. So please be careful.
We're actually, we're not using the this is the classic layout. So we've got the bend uphill. We're not using the suspension eating chicane, unfortunately. So yeah, and it can eat any suspension, not just the MX-5s. But unfortunately, we won't be seeing any eaten suspensions. We will be using the classic layout, and for a track that is even smaller than this one, as well as having sort of the same general profile of mid and high speed corners. I think it's going to be really, really tough to pass for the multi-class. I didn't realize before the start of this one. I knew that the TCRs were going to have the advantage on the straights, but I didn't realize that the gap was so similar in the corners. So we'll see what happens on next Sunday. I think it's next Sunday, but
next Sunday.
I think unfortunately we may not have a broadcast for you on that one. We'll try our best to get one together, but if not, we're going to pick you up on the following round 3. We're going to pick you up at Silverstone at the National Club layout. So look forward to that one, and potentially look forward to Lime Rock if we get out to there as well. But that's going to be it for us this afternoon. Once again, I'm Kady Timberfox. This is Nick, and that's Paliku'i behind the scenes, making it all happen. Thank you so much again, Paliku'i, for working through our technical issues, and we'll see you next time. Have a good night.
Yeah.